Leclerc.
Charles Leclerc!
Welcome to Negative Camber, the motorsport show, brought to you by ProKarts Race Centre.
Far enough back, he's going to make the lunge down the inside!
The ultimate pit stop.
The safety car is coming in.
Fueling your passion for motorsport.
With an emotional moment that means everything.
All of the latest results, analysis, and interviews.
Roar the drivers on to the final lap of this race!
I'm Jamie and Leigh, motorsport enthusiast, historian, and media presenter.
And I'm Leigh Harrison, motorsport professional, Sprintmaster Karts race driver, and Formula One alumni.
Hello everyone and welcome to Negative Camber, the motorsport show. I'm Jamie Leigh, your host here this evening from the studios of Radio Italiano. And it's been a fantastic day, a cracking day actually in terms of weather. Spring has certainly arrived. Quite warm actually when you're racing around at ProKarts Paraka in a race suit. Probably something I wouldn't recommend unless you're fit and firing. Someone who I haven't actually seen for a couple of weeks is sitting alongside me or directly across from me. It's none other than my co-host in this caper of ours, Mr. Leigh Harrison. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon. How are we today?
Afternoon? What time of day are you in, mate? It's like 7:05 at night.
Good evening.
Hello. What's going on?
Look, just recovering after a busy week and start to the weekend. A nice relaxing day. Mostly at home today, which was nice, and enjoying some sunshine and just ready to get this show on the road and make it all happen.
Well, while you were relaxing and kicking your feet up, I was getting some seat time. 100 laps, actually. No, making 110 laps around Pro Karts today for the SA High Kart Championship. So a big thank you to Pro Karts for allowing us to be a little bit creative today with this 100-lap single-driver enduro with pace cars. Or two-seater go-kart can make a really good pace car, mate. So
it's nice and wide, so it does hold up quite a lot of track.
Yeah, no, it was very, very good. And great day all round. It was very, very enjoyable, and I felt pretty good physically. So I got out of there, and I probably could have done another 100 laps. So until I got home and sat on the couch, and then my body and the adrenaline started to die down, and then I looked into my Lethal Weapon quote book and thought, I'm too old for this.
You needed to smash some Prepped or something and get yourself hydrated and ready to go.
Well, I didn't do prep. I wanted to, but Himalayan salt water, that was the secret. And then my banana protein smoothie for breakfast this morning, and I was fit and firing. So, it was a great day. Good turnout, lots of supporters. The Reichelt Army were out in force, which is always good to see. I love it. I love the fact that Simon's wife Mel and his little one come out, and all of her friends and his friends and stuff, and they really get behind it and support it as well, which is what we've always encouraged and wanted to see it for the SA High Kart Championship. So I'll quickly run through the results. We had in the light class Simon Reichelt first, Chris LaRocca second, and Harrison Gifford in third. Then we had in the heavy class Brandon Luna going first, and Jay Lemura finishing second there on the podium there, Mr. Harrison, and Sam Monterosso rounding out the top three. So got a trophy, sprayed some champagne. The other guys boycotted champagne spraying. What was wrong with that? They just wanted to stand there and look at the bottle and then walk off, whereas I thought, no, I'm giving Luna a big shower.
They're a bit precious, some of them, aren't they?
Just a touch.
Especially Luna.
Oh. Well, he copped a nice big bottle of champagne. I turned around to him and he goes, "Oh, shall we?" I said, "Mate, I'm firing at you." Boom, away one. He was covered head to toe. So, and he wasn't afraid to walk off and show the rig after for about a good half an hour. So,
why does that not surprise me at all?
You know what though? I don't feel so bad now. I thought I was the whitest person in the room in terms of skin colour, but I tell you what, Luna gives it a fair crack. I thought, you know what? I'll take my pastel pink skin. That was, but yeah, I win in the hairy stakes. That's for sure. So, no, great event, and thank you, mate, for helping organise that as well. So I'm really grateful for Pro Karts Paraka and also X Karts for their support and flexibility that they give us as well. So allowing us to be a little bit creative and go outside of the norm as well. So it's really, really appreciative.
That's something that we've always done. We're always open to creating something special for for the customers. So just happy to help out, and ProKarts Race Centre, just always getting it done and making sure that everyone gets their perfect day. We put a lot of work in to try and make sure the go-karts are nice and even for all these special events, and we have got more go-karts coming to make sure that when groups like this do come for special events, we given the best experience possible. So, yeah, it's only going to get better from here and next year. Every round that you hold at ProKarts Race Centre will be using the new karts, and you guys will have even better experience again.
Can I also say it has been fantastic at the fact that the bumps from turns 1 to 3 have been completely removed. It was nice. It was nice. My teeth are all there. I haven't got a broken jaw.
You're not going fast enough if you're not feeling those bumps.
Mate, if I pressed the accelerator pedal any further, they would have found it all the way down Research Road. It was, no, it was good. It was actually nice to sort of get out there and get some much valued seat time and karting fitness. I'm sure my body will remind me of my 42 years of age tomorrow morning when I get up. So
yeah, I don't envy you at all.
Yeah, but mate, don't worry about ProKarts. The GOAT won last week in Singapore. The best Grand Prix in the last 20 years. I'll go as far as that's how excited I was, Lee. It was amazing.
Is that the only Grand Prix Ferrari's won in the last 20 years?
It feels like that, yes. Probably the most brilliantly tactical execution of a race from a single driver I've seen in a long time, and I'll go as far as saying that there was no other driver that would have been able to pull that off today or any other day in the current crop of Formula One drivers that we have. Maybe one, and I'd probably say Fernando because he's a wily old fox. But outside of that, forget it. No one else would have come close. And you saw Mercedes trying to pull that off today, and it was disastrous. So, I say Carlos, it was race of the year for starters, win of the year because Max is an autopilot. But Ferrari colours loud and proud, my friend. Oh, I was on such a high. You guys copped text messages and photos and stuff for probably 2 days straight. It was amazing.
Yep.
Imagine if we won a drivers' championship. Oh, my God.
I'm living happily in the fact that won't happen for some time, so I don't have to worry about what that's going to feel like.
You know what? I'd love to say you can never say never, but with the way Red Bull was around Suzuka today, it probably won't. I'd like to see it in my lifetime. It would be honest.
It's not even just today. It's like they've had that championship wrapped up for a few rounds to go, so they're already focusing on the 2024 car. So it's I don't think the pain is going to get any easier.
Speaking of pain, I reckon there would have been an ulcer in Christian Horner's body today watching the performance of Sergio Perez and you were trigger figure Harrison on the Facebook there. I saw the post. I'm like, my God, I can just imagine Harry would have been popping like popcorn in that household, just spitting chips at Sergio. But
I was all calm. I was all calm on the couch. I just thought this is just it's gotten to a point where it's embarrassing for them now. Like
today was, yeah.
Well, not even today. Like he can't even put it on the front row in the same car. He hasn't been able to do that since Miami. Like it's actually embarrassing for them at the moment. How bad they are going, or how bad he is going. The
momentum shift since Miami, though, has been so extreme. Like, it wasn't even a build-up to it. It was black and white. Yeah. Like, you started to see a couple of little simmering moments, say, qualifying for Australia. But, today, God, that's probably the worst Grand Prix I've ever seen him drive by a fair margin. That was horrid.
And then to make him go out again after he's like 7 or 8 laps down, man, that was funny.
That was punishment. I swear they just did that to humiliate him. They can make an excuse in the book they want. I would probably personally would rather take a grid drop than have to sit in the pits for 10 or 15 minutes and watch my teammate drive past and then come out and then come back in again just to remove a penalty. I swear that they did that just to humiliate the guy.
More than, it was not a fun experience for Sergio, I'm sure, but deserved, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you're at the SA hire karts? No, we'll go back to racing karts. So you're at the SA Karting Championship last week, and I don't know anything that happened outside of results. And what I do know is that your crystal ball continues to suck badly because I off air I did say I was going to tip Brett Fortanier, and that could have given you 3 out of 9 or whatever it was. It would have made the score a little bit respectable. But man, I was going to say your balls need a bit of work, but that goes out wrong. So your crystal ball needs a bit of work, my friend.
Well, I'm just looking back now on my picks, and I can be happy in the fact that everybody that I picked to win, except for in tag restricted medium, made it onto the podium. So that's still something pretty good. And I picked Max to win in junior heavy, but he got taken out during the race. So,
is that what happened?
Yeah, that was, I can be happy. You got 2 out of 9. That's not bad. And, you know, in the words of Meatloaf, 2 out of 9 ain't bad.
I love you like a brother, but everyone only remembers first place.
So yeah, no, like I'm still pretty clear with all my options. They still all got on the podium, and yeah, no, it was good. It was a good race meeting. Would have, you know, we're 2 weeks late for the announcement that the Nationals are going to be there. That would have seen the entries, you know, double or whatever, which would have been good. But yeah, no, nice race meeting, nice weather. We've definitely got some stuff to cover after the break with in terms of results and some other information from the event. But yeah, our results personally for the Pro Karts Race Team weren't the best. We had pace enough to finish probably in the top 5 in tag. The pace was never there in the KA though. I think we're lacking a bit of engine in that class, but. Yeah, no, we had a fun weekend with lots of learning and lots of things that we tried that we wouldn't have otherwise tried. And the grip was massive. Like, the amount of grip that went down was crazy. Yeah. It was awesome. So, yeah, you know, the track being nearly 2 seconds faster than it has ever been before was pretty good.
I saw some pictures of a few guys were sending me some photos on Friday, I think it was, and I couldn't get over just how thick it was. Like someone had got a giant Posca marker and just drew a racing line in the track. Like, the amount of rubber that went down in such a short space of time was insane.
Yeah, and it was building to that in the week beforehand with all the testing that was happening at the track. But yeah, Friday it definitely went down pretty quickly with all the new tyres that everybody was throwing at it and just everybody being on track, you know, like 145 drivers or whatever it was, all being on track, just lap after lap after lap and having nice weather. It definitely helped the rubber go down.
Before we go off to a break, I've got to ask a question. Do you get high on the two-stroke smell? Like, it would have just been this plume of cloud. Like, you know, if you're driving towards Southern Go-Kart Club on a race day, like, there's no 4-strokes there. We're Southerns. Just look for the plume of 2-strokes above the track.
Metaphorically, I do enjoy a bit of... There's no better way to start the day than with a bit of two-stroke smell. You know, it's a good way to start the day.
Yeah, I did see some footage of Mick Doohan starting up his old Repsol Honda 2-stroke motorbike at Goodwood. And he's sitting there just revving it, warming it up. And there's a group of spectators that are standing right behind the exhaust and just getting plume after plume. And I'm thinking to myself, smells great now, but yeah, I'd hate to see what the lungs and the heart and stuff like that feel like after the fact. Yeah, it's pretty extreme.
Yeah, look, I don't try and breathe it in, but when it's just, you know, byproduct in the air, it's a nice smell, and especially if someone's burning some Elf. Like Elf smells like little raspberry lollies, so yeah, it's quite nice.
Don't know what Elf you've been ingesting, but I don't know if raspberry lollies would be the trick. But anyway, we will be off to a break. We have South Australian Karting Championship to cover. I know you've got a lot to share on that, so we'll jump to it, and we'll see you after this break.
Follow us on socials, join us on our website, negativecamber.co, and be sure to subscribe to the Negative Camber Club for access to exclusive content, episode previews, and special deals from our amazing partners.
Prepare for a race day like no other at ProKarts Race Centre, where racing excellence isn't just on the surface, it's in every detail. Your kart is more than a machine, it's a masterpiece of precision and performance. Our race mechanic services ensure your kart is finely tuned, race ready and expertly maintained. Leave the technical details to us while you focus on conquering the track. But we're not just mechanics, we're partners in your victory. Our skilled team provides on-site pit support during race meetings, ensuring that every element is in place for your success. At ProKarts Race Centre, we're not just about the thrill of the race, we're about the joy of winning. Join us and experience racing excellence from the inside out. Visit prokartsracecentre.com.au or pop in for a chat at 30 Research Road, Karaka. ProKarts Race Centre, fueling your passion, igniting your potential.
Harry was just telling us before the break that he was recovering from his Barry Crocker over a weekend with the Pro Karts team. Do expand on such shenanigans that happened, my friend.
No shenanigans. It was just one of those unfortunate weekends where I think I've said it a few times before. You know, should have gone for one move and didn't, or, you know, tried to play the nice card and got done over 4 positions or whatever. So pace was never there in the KA. I think we finished 5th in one race, which was nice, but we were nowhere near the pace of the leaders. But in the tag kart, we looked a lot more promising, and outright pace we probably weren't there, but race pace we definitely had as much as the leaders. And then just unfortunate accident in the final. One guy went to go around the outside of another guy and chopped him hard, and the guy that was on the inside, which Cody was following, got balked, and Cody ran up the back of him and locked wheels and stuff. And so, after getting that far, we probably would have been doing the same pace as the leaders. Once we got past those two couple of karts, would have been a good thing to see how far we would have gone up the field. But unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be. I said the pace was there, which was good. Something we haven't had in a long time was to be as fast as those leaders that run at the front of the nationals as well. So that helps. That we know we found some stuff in the go-kart and found some stuff for ourselves. Our engine was tired as well, so that's gone away to get rebuilt ahead of tomorrow next year. Awesome weather, great race meeting. Apart from a few little things,
So. Do you think, looking back on the season now, and I'm for the team side of it, we'll do team first and then we'll expand out. So, do you feel like you've kind of gone backwards a little bit with KA3 performance in particular, especially on the engine front overall? Because from what we've discussed over the course of the year, qualifying has always been the challenge, in both classes really. And I guess for me, and I'm only looking at it from afar and just based on our discussions and stuff as well, do you think maybe... Is Cody as a driver spreading himself too far? Because I would assume that to drive a KA is different to drive a tag, a little bit, horsepower aside. But do you think is it better that you just try and funnel and focus on the one class rather than trying to spread yourself out on many classes, or am I reading into it wrong?
I don't think it's too different to jump in one kart to the other. Maybe just the fact that you get tired and stuff a bit more over the weekend, but Cody's generally pretty fit, so he's not worried about... it's never a fact of the tiredness. I don't think we've gone backwards. I don't think we've really ever been on the pace of KA. At a club day, fair enough, we're there or thereabouts. But it seems as though when the grip goes down, that's where our lack of engine starts to sort of spread the gap a little bit. We don't have the mid-range torque to get the kart off the rubber as much as some of the other drivers. So, it's obviously given us something to homework to do. We've not raced the KA at any of the big race meetings. We only do the 125. So it probably explains why we're closer to the pace in the 125. We've done more learning in that. We've done, the nationals in 125. We haven't touched the KA at a national level. So there's more learning in that. I don't think we've gone backwards. I think we've probably just exposed our weaknesses in that class when the rubber's gone down.
Yeah, because I liken it, the Soddy to... you go overseas, you look at the higher grip stuff overseas, and obviously compared to what we race here, it's next level, as we've discovered it with the Max Walton and Seb podcast as well. And the Soddys seem to go really well there. Yep. They're always up at the front, along with, say, CRG at the moment and KR, or a CRG drive chassis. So, I suppose now that you've kind of uncovered your weakness, I would assume that you're expecting to have a similar performance moving forward now that you've been able to sort of see the kart in a real high grip scenario. Yeah,
I think like I said, we've learnt some things over going to WA and racing at Monado in the high grip conditions. So that's helped us come to Bolivar and know which direction to go in, and then trying a lot of other stuff in the meantime at practice days has definitely helped us. The kart's great. I can't fault the kart at all. Every time I drive it, it's amazing go-kart. It responds in the way that you want it to respond when you make the changes. It's a lot different to other go-karts. It's a lot stiffer. So it's almost like we've got to do the reverse of what everyone else has done to get the go-kart to go fast. It's just about unlocking all of that potential in the motor now, I think. And even still, I don't think any of our X30 motors are weapons. They're motors. They're good. They go okay, but they're definitely not the best engine on the track.
Yep.
Like I said, it's exposed our what's given us a clear direction of where we need to focus our attention now.
Yep.
And then sort of coming into this latter half of the year where we won't be doing so much racing, it'll help us sort of focus our attention where we need to, and we'll start looking for motors. So if anyone's listening and they've got an absolute weapon of a KA motor or an absolute weapon of a tag motor, feel free to hit me up. But yeah, we'll be doing some stuff over Christmas and spending some time at the track. Hopefully, like, it's been almost pointless to go to Bolivar and do testing at the moment because of the way that the track is. That was until, sort of this week. But even then, the track turned pretty crap after Tuesday. The track was still really good on Monday. We went on Tuesday. The motorbikes were there as well, but unfortunately the motorbikes just peeled up all of the good rubber and discarded it all over the track. So the track went back to being really, really slippery and not so nice to drive on. Went out there again on Friday to do some testing for the upcoming 100-lap Enduro or 90-minute Enduro at Bolivar, and it really took us all day to get the track back down to a good spot and lay some rubber. But if we can get it back to that spot where the track's consistent and gives us feedback, then at least we know we can back-to-back motors safely, and what the motors are doing and what changes are making good improvements versus going out 1 week and then going back the next week and being 2 seconds slower and fighting against it.
Nothing wrong with taking a breather and taking stock and just doing a reset. At least you guys, you can work on that sort of sense of direction and get yourselves ready for 24.
Yeah, well, we never set out this year to win everything. I think we were pretty open with that. It's hard to do that with one go-kart or, one go-kart in each class. So slowly it's building. We've got other people driving soddies now, so we can try more things on a test day and get a lot more valuable information. So that helps a lot. So yeah, it's just sort of, sit back, recollect on what we learnt all year, and then put that into action for 2024, and hopefully we can earn some more trophies.
Yeah, cool. Now, moving aside from ProKarts team, the event in general, what's the goss? Give me some dirt, or give me something.
So I'll read through the results.
Yeah, all right, we'll start with that.
We'll start with that. In Cadet 9, Harlan Bell was the champion from Jarvis Hindle and Diesel Waddell. Cadet 12, Archie Bristow won that one from Riley Harrison and Dominic McCurry. In KA3 Junior Heavy, Isaac McNeil from Michael Janus and Charlotte Page. In KA3 Junior Light, William Thompson, Max Walton and Isaac McNeil. KA3 Senior Light, Jamie Rowe, Troy Moreland, Beck Connell. Tag 125 Light was Jacob Dowson, Jackson Susel and Harlow and Jacob Chandler. Tag Masters, Brett Fortania, Chris Prestige, Simon Evans. Tag Restricted Light was Shane Moreland, Ryan Dealey and Ben Press. And in Tag Restricted Medium, Max Lumsden, Jack Ryan and Bo Humphrey. Some really good racing for a lot of the classes. A lot of the interstaters came over and were strong, as to be expected when they run at the front of the Nationals as well. But yeah, it's... like I said, the grip went down. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see a lot of the racing. It was really only the class that was on before us for each of our races and our race that I got to watch. But, some exciting battles, some good passing going into the new section of track as well at Bolivar, which was good to see that was utilised and made lots of exciting overtakes there. But yeah, no, all good, and hopefully in the new year when we host the first round of the Nationals, it's a big race meeting.
Normally at big race meetings, there's always say issues or feedback or stuff that do come up. Anything that you'd seen or come across that needs a bit of the old Harrison feather duster there.
Yeah, I might throw this little jingle in before we go there.
Now it's time for Grind My Gears with Jamie and Leigh.
All right, so before we start, allow me to get my choc top and my popcorn and make myself comfy, and I'm going to watch this unfold because it's very early to start grinding gears. Let's go.
So there was an issue on Sunday. It was an issue actually on Saturday where we lined up for tag, and it was, there was a few people making some noise on the grid. The grid sheet wasn't right. So I think it went upstairs and they had a look at it, and there was some bit of jiggling on the grid. But I took no notice of it. I was like, it didn't affect us. No worries at all. Whatever, it's all good. We came back for Sunday, and we're on the lining up for the grid for the final. And I went over and checked the grid sheet to see where we were, and we were starting out of 16, and I was like, oh, that's a bit weird. I thought we'd be a bit higher than that, but no, all good. And anyway, so I looked who's starting around us, and printed on the actual printed grid sheet coming out of position 18 in a 27 go-kart field was a driver that hadn't even done a lap all weekend. He was entered, but he hadn't done a lap. He didn't rock up Friday, didn't rock up Saturday, and he didn't rock up Sunday. So I raised the question, how does a driver that hasn't turned a lap start 9 positions up the field and ahead of all these other people that have actually done laps? So I said to the grid guy, like, you know, this isn't right. This is absolutely messed up. You know, I'm not going to do anything about it because it's a waste of time. No one's going to fix anything or whatever. But how does that guy who hasn't even rocked up start in front of 9 people and you've had to cross out and manually, and this doesn't draw any attention to anybody? Like, it's a bit weird. So anyway, sort of sat back and we put the card on P16 and sort of sat back and was having a watch and watched the last race before us finish up, and some other mathematics started going through my head. So we started the third heat. It was all heats added up to the final grid position. We started the third heat out of, I think it was P11, and we had Ryan Morgan directly behind us out of P13, and we had Braden Parkinson directly in front of us out of P9. So in that race in the third heat, we beat both of those drivers. So we beat Braden, passed him with a couple of laps to go, and we beat Ryan. Somehow, and we finished where we started. We started 13th, we finished 13th. Somehow, we ended up losing. We started 11th, finished 13th. So we should have only lost two points, basically. But that was enough to move us 5 positions further back on the grid from where we started in Heat 3. Not only that, the 2 drivers that we beat, so Braden Parkinson, he started out of position 10 for the final, and Ryan Morgan started out of position 15. So we beat 2 of those drivers, beat both of those drivers in Heat 3, yet we started 5 positions further back than Braden and 1 position behind Ryan. So it didn't make any sense. I don't know what went down, but you know, as we pay a lot of money as karters to go to these race meetings, you know, like it was a $190 entry fee or whatever. We've got to spend 3 sets of tyres. To have something like that should be a simple calculation go wrong, in my view, is not acceptable. The minute that anyone had brought the attention of the clerk of course or anything like that there was problems with the grid sheets and changes had to be made, the whole race meeting should have been shut down to work out where the issue was going wrong and have that fixed before anyone else turned a lap. Would it have changed anything for us? I don't know. I don't think so. That's why I probably didn't make as much of a big deal about it on the grid as I should have. But yeah, it's not right. Like I said, we pay a lot of money for a system to do my laps. We pay a lot of money for a system to have someone in the control tower that's trusted to do these things. It's not cool. Absolutely, it's not cool at all. So I hope that, well, I know now that I will be double checking every grid sheet, and I'll make sure that, you know, I'm a bit more firm with this sort of stuff happening. But yeah, it was not a good look on an otherwise good race meeting. So yeah, and then to have the clerk of course tell me that you know, there was nothing they could have done, and that yeah, if someone else was in their position, that probably wouldn't have been the mistakes. It's not good looks.
Yeah, it's not good enough. Not for a state championship. Like, not even for a club day, really. But I mean, you could take it for a club day because it's what they consider as a club day. Whereas I always take the fact that every race should be important, respect the club day as well as the main stuff. But a hypothetical situation for you then, had they actually got the grid right, was that the final that Cody was involved in that accident? Would he have actually been able to get out of that accident or avoid it?
We would have been a lot further in front of where the accident took place.
Yeah.
However, the person, there was a red flag at the start of 125,
yeah.
Which unfortunately was because Braden Parkinson rolled over on, you know, I think it was lap 4. So it's like one of those catch-22s. Would it have kept us out of the eventual crash that took us out of the race? Possibly. But would it have put us in the position that we were the ones that would have rolled over? Possibly. it's one of those things. I don't think it would have. I don't like if it was the difference between us starting in the top 5 or 16th. It might have made a pretty big difference, but I don't think it made a huge effect on how the race would have panned out.
Look, at the end of the day, I understand that there's volunteers that are there, and I've heard the stories of people getting a bit overwhelmed or telling people to sod off and all that sort of stuff when they're under pressure and that type of thing. For something like grid sheets, if it's been brought to the attention like what you said, then you know what? What's another 5 or 6 minutes just to put everything on a pause, especially for a final, go to the relevant authorities or the chain of command and say, can we get this sorted or have a look into it just to make sure? Yeah. Because it could make the difference of someone's event and surviving a DNF or whatever. So I can appreciate your frustration. I mean, and that's the thing. If it's happening in the one class, then I can almost guarantee it will happen to other classes.
Yeah, it would have been. It would not have just been tag 125 that had the issue. And it was down to a manual data entry issue. And I don't know what we're manual data entering. I don't know why we don't have a system where if we apply a penalty, we can do it within in the system that runs the grid sheets. I don't know why we can't or have to do anything manually. It's just it's a bit very, very frustrating.
I can just imagine. What's frustrating is when we're in the depths of a really good conversation, we have to go to a break. So we'll be back and we'll continue this analysis.
A huge thank you goes out to our podium partner, ProKarts Race Centre, and our incredible sponsors. Your partnership allows us to continue bringing you this show and dive deeper into the world of motorsports. If your business adds value to the motorsport community, get in touch with us to become a Negative Camber partner.
Brace yourself for the soddy experience at ProKarts Race Centre, the official South Australian distributor for soddy karts. Picture this: karting excellence meets global dominance, all on our local tracks. Soddy karts are more than machines, they're powerhouses of victory. From the heart of France to the South Australian circuit, they dominate in all categories. But that's not all. When you race with a soddy kart, you're backed by on and off-track technical support directly connected to the factory. It's not just karting, it's the soddy advantage. Get ready to experience world-class performance, unmatched thrill, and victory like never before. Rev up for the soddy experience, only at ProKarts Race Centre. Visit prokartsracecentre.com.au or pop in for a chat at 30 Research Road, Paraka. ProKarts Race Centre, fueling your passion, igniting your potential.
My concern with all of this is, as we said before, if it's happened in the Tag 125, there's every chance that it could have happened in the other classes and either people didn't pick up on it or were oblivious to what was going on. My concern would be, imagine if that happened at the AKC when it was, which Southerns are hosting in February next year. Mm-hmm. Good luck trying to keep cool with that, mate. I'll tell you now, it's going to be a stinker.
It's going to be warm.
Yeah, especially with was it El Nino?
Whichever one is not the cold one. The hot one.
El Nino, El Nino. But if that was at AKC where there's a lot at stake, could you imagine the furor that would be happening with all of the classes? It'd be tormenting for the stewards because they've got to sit there and cop it. But in some cases, pressure makes diamonds, but not in that case. It'd be under more mistakes because people would be under undue stress.
Yeah, but hold your point, and we'll cover it in an answer to one of our motorsport mailbags questions later on in the show. But I think as well, there's an approach by the drivers and mechanics to it as well. I went and approached them after the race, which I could have done it in the same way before the race, and I think with cool and calm, clear facts about why something is not right, then it's going to empower the stewards to follow a logical debunking train, I suppose. Whereas if you're just going in there ranting and raving, this is wrong, I shouldn't be there, blah blah blah, then it's not going to be helpful. Yep. Hopefully it doesn't happen at AKC, but all I can do is ask that if anyone that is listening, if they do spot it, something like that, then cool heads normally prevail. So just go about it with some clear facts and some good data to help the stewards along the way. They're doing the best that they can, and there's many hands that make the event work. So if you go to the clerk of course, at least you've gone to the top, and then he can spread the wings out, and he or she can spread the wings out and work out where the problem lies. So look, I brought it to the attention of the clerk of course at the end of the race, gave him the rundown. This is why it shouldn't have happened. This is my data on that fact, and hopefully it gets looked into.
Fingers crossed, because you wouldn't want it to result in someone potentially missing out on a title because they got the start position wrong, and it escalates from there.
It's not so much the title necessarily, but if we're talking at a nationals where we've got A, B, C, and D groups, and then you're only taking the top 40 into the race, it could be the difference between someone making the final and not making the final. That could be so whether they race or don't race. So it's worth absolutely looking into. I don't think it's going to have mattered at the front. Like I said, I don't think we're going to be sitting here talking like we'd won the state championship if I'd fixed it.
Yep.
But hell, if we had been kicked out of the race meeting because of it, I'd be pretty upset that we didn't even have the chance to compete.
Yeah, fair enough. Speaking of competing, before we go to our mailbag segment, the Tillotson T4 World Series is currently happening over in Spain near Valencia. We've got a couple of SA guys, the Bowden. I was going to say the Bowden brothers, but they're father and son. Wes and Daniel Bowden are over there at the moment actually competing in the event. It's like the World Championships for four-stroke racing overseas, and we were watching it last night on the live feed on YouTube, and it's so cool. Like all of us four-stroke competitors are really kind of living vicariously through them over the next sort of 24 to 48 hours. But there's some stuff that's come up, which you and I have sort of spoken off air. The first one being that the fact that it's probably the sort of class that we've got four-stroke racing here in Australia, but there's clearly enough four-stroke karters out there that they could look to maybe do maybe a national series of some sort for four-strokers to then take that next step over there, because there's a massive gulf from what I've seen so far in terms of how the Americans have approached this series, because they've got a very, very strong four-stroke culture. But then also, there's enough karters out there to really make it. Like, I understand that they're doing this summer series for two-strokes and stuff like that with Karting Australia. And I know I'm going to sound like a wet blanket, and because I race four-stroke and you and I race four-stroke too, but to be honest with you, don't the two-strokes have enough high-caliber domestic races and series along the way between AKC and club-level races and state championships, and they used to have the race. Instead of doing a Rock Summer Series, how about you find another place and reintroduce the Race of Stars somewhere? Like something like that. Maybe not so much at the old track where they had it before, but somewhere else.
It could be, yeah, it's sort of could go around to all the different tracks and be a Race of Stars. But I do agree. Like they should have. We could have embraced that T4 Cup and brought it to Australia and raced it as like a 4-round series or something like that, and done the same thing as maybe like Rotax Pro Tour, where the person who won the championship got a ticket to go over and compete at this T4 Nations Cup. Like, but we're just four-strokers, so it won't happen. But yeah, like such good formula as well. Such a small window of setup changes that they can do. They're only allowed to have a couple of axles. They're only allowed to change up and down a couple of teeth from the factory setting. It's really only tire pressures and physical adjustments. Move the back in and out or the front. Play around with that, the front end geometry and whatever. But like that's a better format with keeping the costs down. The karts are cheap, the engines are cheap. You're only allowed certain bits to bolt on it, so it definitely keeps the cost down and is a great entry level opportunity to go racing. But
even the quality of the racing is like intense. Like all the heats that I saw last night were literally decided on the finishing line between first and second, which is how it should be. But it's exactly like what we talked about in previous episodes, and what I've sort of seen is the old J racing or like clubman racing, where, and even some of the top end cadet stuff here in Australia, where you make a mistake, you're back 6-7 positions.
Yeah, you don't have to go fast to do great racing. in fact, going faster sometimes takes away the good racing, but because the risk level gets so much higher, and you often see it, like even club level, that the 4-stroke races are some of the closest and well contested races that are held at any race meeting. So you take it to that next level and put the best drivers of the nations around the world into the same go-kart using the same engine. It's always going to be a good event.
I like what you're saying about the Rotax series. I reckon we should be able to do a Torini or a 4SS series like the Rotax series around Australia, and then have the overall winner of that go over to have a crack at the Tillotson World Series and maybe have KA endorse it and sponsor it and all that sort of stuff. Like, in my opinion, you've got Rotax series, which have now been reintroduced by Karting Australia. You've got AKC. You've got all their domestic titles and stuff like that. Do you really need to have another 2-stroke summer series? Like, diversify a little bit and have all the classes that you're trying to support endorsed and have their own thing. There's enough people that'll do it.
It'd be nice, but I don't see it happening. No. Like I said, it would be nice to have there is a small contingent of drivers that are racing the Tillotson kart over in New South Wales, I think it is.
Yep.
So Daniel and Wes went and did that race in Coffs Harbour not long ago. But yeah, it's I don't think it's I wouldn't hold my breath on it. That's all I'm going to say.
You know what we should have asked last night? Do they have data loggers over there?
Yeah, I can actually probably.
Do they have data loggers? Rather than actually worry about the series, how about we actually get KA to open up their eyes and allow the data loggers to be used across all classes? Like, let's be honest, it
just goes back to what I was saying before about the way that they're so tightly controlled with axles, with what rims they can use, with what gear, what sprockets they can use. I was saying to someone at the track on the week. Friday, I think it was, I was doing some driver coaching with Pete Mill. We have a trailer full of axles. An axle's $300 a pop. It only takes 3 axles to pay for the one data logger that does so much more. The top of the line data logger, we pay $1,000 for. It takes 3 axles to pay for that one data logger, and I've got a multitude more than that in the trailer. And that's just axles, let alone the multitude of rims that I've got that we can fine-tune bits and pieces with, let alone the multitude of seats, let alone the multitude of hubs, like front and rear. Like, if we were really worried about cost saving, then there was definitely better. And we've said this 100 times. I'm going on like a bloody, scratched record. There was definitely better ways and more cost-effective ways to keep the cost down than banned data loggers that help us make better drivers.
Yeah, exactly. But how about we open up the mailbag? You've got mail. That's our intro.
That's fun.
You got mail. What do we got?
So we have a question from Pete Mill. To rap or not to rap? And I'm not talking like DMZ or Snoop Dogg or anything like that.
You cut me at the pass, man. I was going to do some rap.
What's with wrapping your wheels in plastic?
You're not a fan of that.
I'm absolutely not. No.
Yeah, which is why I've stopped wrapping my wheels in plastic, so that way I don't get judged. But no, what's the theory behind it, and what do you approve of?
The theory behind it is if you wrap the tyre, it helps keep all the chemicals in the rubber intact. They don't leach out into the air. It keeps your tyre in an environment that it can't get affected by any of the other elements in the universe. And I guess it then sort of it goes further that if no dirt or grit or anything like that is getting on your tyre, then you're going to be not wasting any laps to clean them off when you get them on the track. My thoughts on it is I don't like it. It only takes 2 corners for your tyres to scrub off any of the surface imperfections that they've had by leaving them in the trailer. As long as you keep your tyres in a cool, dark spot, so whether you're in the trailer or they're in the shed, not being affected by sunlight and going through heats, like massive heat cycles, it's not going to make any difference to your tyre. If you wrap your tyre while it's still hot, then you're more likely to melt the plastic from the wrapping into the tyre and it'll suck it in and you'll actually make your tyre worse as well. So I don't personally wrap tyres, and I've not seen any advantage with doing so in my 27 years in this sport. And I know that it's quite big in our team that we don't worry about wrapping tyres.
Save the environment too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Don't you waste the plastic. on the rubber and all that sort of stuff. So, if anything, if you've got some spare wheels, put them in a wheel bag and store them away somewhere nice and cool. At least they're protected and covered.
If you've got spare wheels and you can put wets on to put the kart in the trailer, the best option would be to take your dry tyres off, or your tyres that you've raced with off, put them in a tyre bag, and then keep them in a very, like in a cupboard at home, so that they're not getting affected by the air. We keep our tyres on the kart and just roll it straight in the trailer. Again, it's quite closed, and the trailer insulated quite well, so it doesn't get too hot inside the trailer even on a stinking day. So that helps us. Like I said, we don't find any problems. We put the kart in the trailer on Sunday night from the state titles. We went out to the track on Tuesday, and we were by 3 laps into the session doing the same lap times we were doing on Sunday. So there was no harm, no foul.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yep. So Stewie Herring also sent us a message and said, "Are shakedowns necessary or worth it?"
My response, no. I don't think they're worth it. I think there's enough practice. Put it this way. The top teams will always remain the top teams, and this is only my opinion. All right? So the top teams will always remain the top teams. There's enough practice sessions to get your kart sorted, I feel, from an AKC perspective, and then also from, even for Festival State Cups and all that sort of stuff, to get your head around the kart and the track. But the track always evolves anyway, so you're always going to be chasing a setup and tinkering with go-karts and fiddling with setup and stuff as the day progresses anyway. Mm-hmm. So, it's great for the clubs and all that sort of stuff. But, if there's a way that you want to cut some costs and keep the roof on it a little bit, then no, the shakedowns are not necessary in my opinion anyway.
So I can see your point from a competitor's. So I look at the answer to this question in 2 separate buckets. We have the event organizer bucket and we have the competitor bucket. I agree with you wholeheartedly that there is more than enough time at a national level event to work out your setup on a Friday practice. If we've got big numbers, like we're seeing 400 plus entries, and to add an extra day of practice on Thursday, I think that's a better formula than holding a shakedown meeting specifically for competitors. There's enough other race meetings on every other weekend of the year that competitors can come and test if they want. I look at it on the other bucket though, which is the event organizer. You look at a track like Coffs Harbour, which has the national round this year. You have a track like Emerald in Queensland that's having the nationals this year. You have Pucker that hasn't hosted a national round in a long time. You have Southern Go-Kart Club that haven't held a big race meeting in a long time. And then you've got Oakley as well, who also haven't held a massive race meeting in a long time. As an event organizer, the shakedown is at a great chance to iron out all of your teething problems at a race that's dedicated to experiencing those problems, so that when the big dance does come to town, you're ready to go. You've ironed out as many possible issues as you've got. Your pit plan is wicked. You've had a race meeting with 300 entries, and your pit plan went well. The timetable went well. The timing and the grid positions were done correctly. All those the canteen was managed well. You get to have that one little race meeting before the big dance to tease out any of those problems,
like a sound check or a dress
basically. Yeah, exactly right. And you look at Taylor Swift ain't rocking up to the Adelaide Entertainment Centre and not doing a sound check before she jumps out in front of 30,000 people.
Good to have a sound check with Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and and the same can be said for the Bend doesn't just rock up and open its doors for supercars every year. The Bathurst hasn't just done supercars for many years. It does they do lots of little other events just to make sure that everything's still going over and ticking over. So in answer to Stewie's question, I don't think it's necessary to go to a shakedown as the competitors, but it is a good obviously opportunity because it's going to be the big race meeting. I think it's absolutely critical to have a shakedown as an event organizer so that you can tease out those problems and like I said, like a lot of these clubs, Coffs Harbour wouldn't have hold a race meeting that they're going to see this many entries ever in their life, and they're going to be overrun. So for them to hold a shakedown, I think that's going to be absolutely vital to how making sure that race meeting goes ahead successfully.
Yeah, fair enough. keep sending those questions through, peeps. Thanks for Pete and for Stewie to send those messages through or questions through. No question is off limits. It can be about karting. It can be about MotoGP or Formula One or V8 supercars or World Rally Championship World Rally Championship. It could be something personal like
what did Jamie have for breakfast?
I can tell you. Feel free to ask. Don't hesitate to ask. Send us a message or email podcast@negativecamber.co. Join us or see us on our Facebook or our Instagram or our YouTube channel or our website, negativecamber.co. And feel free to ask any question that you wish to ask. So before we head off to the news, how long we got? 5 minutes. Courtney from Jam Motorsport podcast coming up. Lovely, lovely lady, big advocate and massive listener. And have a guess what? She's a Carlos fan. Yes. See? She chooses wisely.
There's two of you in this whole entire world.
No, don't worry. Yeah, it's really cool. I actually I'm wearing the Monza Ferrari t-shirt and I've got the Sainz Monza cap. And it's so cool, like the little details, like you flip underneath the visor and you've got 55 on one side or his autograph as well. And then you've got the little chili on the other side. So a chili in Italian culture is actually for good luck. It's what they call the corno. So it's actually there's like a little superstition thing in Spanish.
How much chili I eat, I would have all sorts of good luck if I went to Italy.
Yeah, exactly. You might come back about 10 kilos heavier as well. So that podcast and that episode should come out very, very shortly. So it was a pity that you weren't able to join us, unfortunately.
Yeah, work gets busy and wasn't able to make it happen.
That's what happens when you're the big cheese.
Unfortunately, yeah. Unfortunately, that's all good.
Yeah, but she's also a massive advocate and champion for women in motorsport too. So she's got an amazing story, and how they started that team is just completely obscure and actually quite humorous in terms of how her and her husband Aaron met, and then how that all started. Mm-hmm. So it's a pity he loves Porsches. wish he'd sort of have a prancing horse or two in his stable. So yeah, and I threw Garnett under the bus because he still is avoiding us now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I'm sure we can tag him in that segment and get him on board.
Please do, Garnett. If you're listening, get on the show. You owe us one.
You've reached the checkered flag of another episode of Negative Camber the Motorsport Show, proudly brought to you by ProKarts Race Centre. A huge thank you to you, our incredible listeners. Your support and passion for motorsports fuels our enthusiasm to bring you the latest results, analysis, and interviews from the racing world. Keep that FOMO at bay by subscribing to Negative Camber on your favourite podcast platform. We'd also love it if you could leave us a review and share the show with your fellow racing enthusiasts. Your feedback and support mean the world to us. Remember, Negative Camber is more than just a podcast. We're a community of dedicated fans who live and breathe motorsports. Follow us on socials, join us on our website, negativecamber.co, and be sure to subscribe to the Negative Camber Club for access to exclusive content, episode previews, and special deals from our amazing partners. Until next time, stay fueled with passion, embrace the Negative Camber, and keep chasing those podium finishes.